This is the Tom Bigby Tales. I'm your host, Shannon Evans. I write about a small community on the Tombigbee River and various other places in Mississippi. Today I have with me
Precinct Officer 5000, Tazadaki with the Israel School of Universal Practical Knowledge.
I'm so glad you're here today. And we have some very serious business to talk about today that's very concerning. So I'm all ears. I want to know more about the little bit we have already talked about what's going on down in Jackson. And to add to that, I hear y'all are on another boil water order again. Is that true?
Yeah, so water never been fixed in Jackson. I know a lot of people talk about it, but they forget, that water crisis has been going on for a long time. So yeah, we got some issues in Jackson.
Yes, you do. And I hear now it's all the way out to Flowood as of today. They're under a boil water. So maybe when you get into the suburbia and inconvenience a whole bunch of upper middle class people, you might get something taken care of. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Actually, Ridgeland got good water. Brandon, Mississippi got good water.
Well, not
Jackson,
today.
Mississippi,
My mother said they're under a boil water right now. They're under a boil
they
water
on the
order.
water.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I guess yesterday. I guess it started yesterday. I'm sure it had
Okay.
all the raining and flooding.
Hmm.
But nobody cares when it happens to poor inner city people. It's when it inconveniences the upper middle class is when things start to change.
There you go. Yeah. Sad.
Shamefully so. All right. Well, I really want to know what's going on down in Hinds County. Now, is this the sheriff's department that all these graves I've been reading about, or is that police or both?
That's the local police department behind I'm sorry, sheriff behind Hinds County Jail. There's a graveyard out there. Now, like I was in somebody the other day that at one point you could act there. But now they put a sign up saying that it's unauthorized because you're not able to come back there. The area is surveillance by drones. So
Right.
when I was out there, getting some video footage, one of the deputies in a van drove by and was like, "Hey, what y'all doing out here? Y'all trying to throw some on the side of the road?" And it was like, "No, I'm not trying to throw nothing on the side of the road. I'm out here conducting an interview. Conducting um, an interview and getting video footage of what happened with those 15 souls that y'all got buried. People love that don't even know." And she was like, I don't want nothing to do with that." And I was like, "The grave site is back there, right? The cemetery back there." She was like, "Well, I can't say anything about that. I can't disclose anything." She's like, "You have a good day," and she drove off.
So she didn't kick you out at that point.
It was now they, but about 2 or 3 minutes, I seen a couple of vehicles coming from the county, but I had already, gotten done what I was doing, so I made sure I got there. Yeah,
So eh, loved ones are supposed to have access to cemeteries in
that's correct.
Mississippi. You're
That's
not
correct.
supposed to be blocked from access to sacred grounds.
That's right. Because even that, they send people back. Those markers are labeled with numbers. For instance, with Dexter Wade, through his mother diligent trying to find him and getting information. When she got down there, his marker didn't even have a name on it. It just had the number 672. That's what his
What is
grave
that
site was
number?
marked with.
So for my followers, can you give a background of what this is? Because they're not, I mean, you and I know what we're talking about. Well, I kind of do. I mean, I don't know it as in depth as you do, clearly. But can
Mm.
you set it up? What happened and how were the, how was this graveyard found and why does it exist? And then give a little bit of
I got you.
background if you could.
Got you. So Dexter Wade was hit on I-55 by a allegedly so-called off-duty police officer in a Jackson police cruiser SUV. When he was hit on March, it was March the 5th, when it was hit, they instead of them, they ruled the accident as they ruled it as an accident, no foul play. Okay. Instead of them notifying the next of kin, and they were saying that he didn't have identification, but come to find out when they his from the burial site, he had identification in his front pocket. He also had a pill bottle with his information on there and his address. He also had a credit card in his wallet with information on there as well. So instead of them doing the right thing, they covered it up and they took his body to the city morgue. Once his body was at the city morgue, his body was at the city morgue. The uh, the morgue called the number on the prescription bottle to find out, hey, this person is missing. They said they didn't. They said they didn't get they didn't make contact with the next of kin, so they sent it over to a detective. The detective, they tried to contact the detective numerous of times to let them know that Dexter Wade's body was in the coroner office. Uh, I want to say, based on the information, back, this is March, so around, let's see, around April is when they actually got the approval to go ahead and bury him behind Hinds County Jail. No one in the family was contacted. They said anything to the mother. Now, take in mind, the day after, which was March the 5th, so March the 6th is when his mother, Belestine Wade, put out a missing report for her son. When she filed a missing report with Jackson Police Department, Jackson Police Department never gave her the information of where her son was. So she's calling down there over and over and over, asking, do anybody know my son Dexter Wade? Do anybody, anybody got any information about my son Dexter Wade? I want to say um, around July is when she actually got, no, I'm sorry, August the 24th is when she actually found out and got a call from a detective telling her that her son they found her son and that a detective was going to call her and let her know information about her son. When the other detective called, he told her that her son had, was deceased and that he was buried, behind Hinds County Jail. So that's when she went down there and found out. And through her diligence constantly calling down there to find out about her son, that's the only reason everybody know about the 215 bodies that were found behind Hinds County Jail.
215.
And that's just the ones that they uncover. I'm pretty sure it's going to be way more than that because these people didn't even know. These were just the markers that they had seen out there. These people didn't even know that their family members were missing.
So what kind of markers did they put out? Are they
basically it's a steel rod with a number on each rod, and the number corresponding with who's ever been buried out there. Now, of course, you got some markers out there with people's name because they so-called have identification or whatever. And then you also have the fact that people get buried out there because the purpose for that grave site is for people who don't have identification or loved ones who don't have money to be buried in a proper cemetery. And then get this too. Dexter was buried in a bag with his clothes, the same clothes he got in.
They just
The
stuck him
same
in the
clothes
body bag and
they
buried
stuck him
him.
in the body. That's right.
He's not in a pine box.
He was not in a pine box. He was in a body bag with the same clothes that he had on when he got hit, when he got murdered.
So wait a minute. Doesn't Mississippi have rules about how bodies, was he embalmed?
He was not embalmed at all.
Were all his parts there?
Now, based on the autopsy that they did, said that he had multiple blunt force trauma injuries in his body, also his leg was severed from body, and he was buried the same way that he got hit, in his clothes. With matter of fact, when they uprooted his body from the burial site, he had his identification in his pocket. They buried him with his identification.
So did they even bother to look at his wallet?
This is the thing. I believe, based on all the evidence and things, is because most of the people don't know about either. Dexter Wade's mother, Belestine Robertson Wade, her brother was murdered by Jackson Police Department 4 years ago in 2019. She filed a lawsuit against Jackson.
Why was he murdered by the police force?
He was pulled out of his. This is a man that 10 days before this incident happened, a stroke. He was pulled out his vehicle by three Jackson police officers. They pulled him out, body slammed him, beat him with flashlights, and let him go. When he made it to the house, he from blunt force trauma injuries. Okay, they did an investigation. The same individuals did an investigation. Come to find out, the only reason they got caught is because witnesses said that, hey, it was some cops that pulled that guy out, and they body slammed him and really police brutality him and beat him with flashlights. So once they found that out, they opened up an investigation for Jackson Police Department, find those three officers. Now take this. When they opened up the case, they went to court. The judge threw it out the first year. So they had to take it to the in order to really just take it serious. And then only one officer, Anthony, what is his name? I said his name yesterday. Anthony Tate is the one who actually ended up getting charges, and he only got 5 years for manslaughter. But they denied her civil suit, so she didn't get any justice for that either.
How
Even
old
with
was
the
this man
officer
they
going
beat
to
to
jail.
death?
Say it again.
How old was the man that they beat to death?
He was 62 years old. The 62-year-old man.
So it wasn't like he was a physical threat to.
No, and he had a stroke 10 days before this incident. He just getting up stroke.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So they knew this. It's a lot of play going on. They knew who Belestine Wade was. She called down there. They knew who Dexter Wade was. Matter of fact, let me paint a picture about Dexter Wade too. Dexter Wade was not a criminal. I know they try to put emphasis on the pill medication bottle, but that medication was he was abusing. I know they keep trying to push that. Dexter Wade
But it was a
was
prescription. So how can he be
that's right
abusing a
with his,
prescription?
with his information on there. I heard someone say, well, yeah, he was a drug addict. That's why he got hit. No, he was not a drug addict. This brother had his own roofing company. He had two daughters that he was raising. He was a person who wanted to do something in the community. He put out a GoFundMe fund and was asking for help to clean up the Black community. He wanted to get and clean the community up. This was not
So he was a community member.
somebody who does crime in the community. Not somebody who is a problem for the justice of the city. It's not somebody who goes around and
So
robs.
why was he walking on
This was a
I-55?
father.
Why was he
Say it
walking?
again.
Why was he walking on I-55 that day?
He left from his mother house. I'm not sure they haven't disclosed that information about why where he was going, but he the place that he traveled from because he stays at. It's maybe like 5 minutes, from where he stayed to get to the next side. So where he was walking in, he was just going across the freeway, which you can do that in that area. But the thing about it, you were a Jackson police officer off duty, worried about no calls or anything. There's no reason. Your whole job is to be observant of your surrounding. You telling me that you see this man walking across the highway? He got hit at full speed.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Let me just put out a scenario. Could the
Mhm.
police have picked him up and then he got out of the car?
It's a good possibility
And
that
they ran
they
him over when he tried to
that's right.
run.
That's right. That's a good
'Cause I
possibility
don't, I,
that
I see, I've been down I-55 many a time.
hmm
Don't see people walking across it unless they've broken down.
that's right.
It's
And
not,
see,
it's not a highway people walk along. It's got all kinds of fencing between the neighborhoods and the highway. It's got big
that's
concrete
right.
fencing. It's got fencing.
Hmm
I don't, I'm in, now I'm not in Jackson every day, but
Right.
I'm in the many, many times I've been there. I don't think I've ever seen anybody walking unless they were, and usually they were close to a car that's broken down. So
And
something, so
I'm glad
something
you bring
doesn't
that
add
out.
up.
I'm glad you bring that out because how it's not a coincidence that this is Dexter Wade and his uncle was murdered by Jackson Police Department.
Yeah,
You know, they were upset at Better Steam. You know, she's a enemy to Jackson Police Department. They
clearly.
were foul play in that. She's an enemy because she wanted to do a lawsuit against Jackson Police.
Well,
So they knew,
one of their brothers is in jail because of
right?
it. So
They knew that. And there's two officers that are not in jail, and their names are not released. And this officer that ran him over, that murdered him, allegedly murdered him by a vehicle, his name is not being released to the public.
wait, we don't know any of these people's names,
Don't know their name. They
and
not
they've been
releasing their
returned to
name
duty.
and been returned to do. They said that the accident was ruled on the scene as an accident.
So,
The,
so
not
has has any has any large news agency covered this at all?
no, no. The
Why?
closer you get to some kind of national coverage would be what's the guy named Roland? You know, he goes and does different segments on things that happen in small. But that, no. Now the Jackson said that, you know, we're in the national news again, but it was on the segment was only released for 3 days. You know, you got bits and pieces and snippets of what happened, and nobody knows the full degree of everything that happened with Dexter Wade.
So
When
has
the mayor gave his you know, when he voiced to the public announcement to the public about this, he cleans a lot of stuff up. He made it to where it was just, oh, well, you know, it wasn't a police thing. It wasn't a Jackson thing. This was just an incident that happened.
oh, just
You
an
know, it's
accident.
unfortunate, you
But
know,
nobody brought up the part that his uncle had been murdered.
right.
What
He
was his
didn't bring
uncle's
that up
name
either.
again? What was his uncle's name again? Do you know?
His uncle's name is George Robertson. George Robertson is his name. This incident happened in 2019. The Jackson Police Department beat this man to death with flashlights.
And what did he do? Was he employed or have a business or what did he do? Do you know?
The her Dexter Wade's uncle was a reverend. So I mean it
He was
wasn't
a
he wasn't
pastor. They
he was
ki-
a pastor.
they beat a pastor to death.
They beat a pastor to death. Yeah,
Dang. Okay. This is some insanity.
that's right.
Welcome to Mississippi. Nina Simone,
Yeah,
not wrong.
that's right. The Mississippi is the more crooked than the S's we get in spelling Mississippi.
You are
You
right.
know,
So
so too. The only thing that happened with the officers, things that's supposed to happen after, in some kind of incident, whether off duty or on duty. Of course, you know they're supposed to get a breathalyzer. He didn't get that. His it's so many different things that should have happened that didn't happen. The only thing that happened was that his vehicle was towed. That was it. Nobody knows the officer name.
where's the vehicle?
It was towed to a place called Hits Towing in Jackson, Mississippi.
And what became of it? Because seems like
They
that.
they not disclosing that either. So these are
Wow.
questions. Yeah, you know,
Is the investigation still open or is
he,
it closed?
they never opened an investigation on him. They don't have an investigation on him. The only
Okay.
thing that happened with him was his truck was sold. That was it.
Jeez. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go back to George Robertson for a second, the uncle
Okay.
who was the pastor who was beat to death.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you said one of the officers went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know his name?
Anthony Tate is his name.
Okay, I thought you had said it.
Yeah, Anthony Tate.
And why did they put him in jail?
They did the only information they got about that they closed to the public as well was that he was the one that was found, I guess, on video doing the most that actually did the stop, and the witnesses had identification on who what he looked like. So the other two officers, they got scotch free.
Okay, so now
With the
I'm going to ask a delicate question, but we in Mississippi always have to ask this.
Mhm.
Of the three, do we know the race of any of them?
They were Caucasian,
All of them,
all of
including
them,
the one that went to jail.
including went to jail.
Okay, what about the one who hit Dexter with his car?
They not disc- they the only thing they give about this man, or maybe one, is that he was a corporal. That was it.
That's all
The
we know
only
is that it's a corporal, but we don't know anything about race,
None of that. They were that.
experience.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Bellestein Wade doesn't even know who hit her son.
Dang. So where
Yeah.
is her son now? Has he been,
Huh?
has her son's been exhumed?
That's right. Oh, then check this out. Before, okay, they was gonna let them know the day that they exhumed the body so they could be out there. They exhumed the body weeks before they, they told, well, we already done it. We already exhumed the body. So even with okay, the only reason she know that this is her son now is because of the autopsy that she had. Ben ended up, having them do their own
But she
stuff
had to
about.
pay for all that
She
herself.
had to pay for. She had to pay for her son's body to be exhumed.
Exhumed.
The people that's coming out there at those grave sites, to get their family member's body, they have to pay the city to get the body,
Even though the city didn't do its due diligence to
even
find.
though the city didn't do diligence. That's right. She.
I have a family friend, a very good friend of mine. She's missing her, I think it's her cousin,
Mm-hmm.
might be her nephew. You have to excuse me, but um, they don't know where he is, and they've told him, well, he has a mental illness. I think he has schizophrenia. Don't hold me to it. I just know
Mm-hmm.
that he isn't always in his right mind.
Right.
He's not well. And because of that, and because he's an adult, they his family can't find him. They don't know where he is.
This is in Jackson.
It's in the Jackson area, I believe. I told her she's going to watch this when we're done.
Okay.
But it's a Caucasian family, but mental illness, cops don't they they're they don't they're not equipped to deal with it. There's not enough beds to deal with it, and they end up with them in the jail often and have
Mm-hmm.
to hold them for 72 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I I I
It's,
can't
it's
imagine. I mean, my family had the means to deal. We had a family member who was a senior, a super senior, shall we say, some who had a break from reality and did something very dangerous, pulled a gun on another family member because they weren't well. And we called the police, and I'm shocked they didn't shoot him. He had the gun gripped in his hand. They didn't even want to tase him because they were afraid that the voltage would, or whatever might kill him because
Mhm.
he was 80 years old. And it took three people to disarm him. And
Yeah.
that was very dangerous to the officers and to the community. I'm just going, what would have been different if he hadn't been an 80-year-old white man in a middle class neighborhood on a golf course?
He would have got shot.
Yeah. And guess where he
He would
ended
have shot.
up? He
That's
didn't go,
right.
he didn't go to jail. Where do you think he went? He went to a hospital.
That's right. Yeah. But if he was of color, or a so-called African American, he would have died. He would have got unalive that day.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, he would have got unalive.
I know.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something else about that's a sad story too. But Dean Wade made contact with the chief of police to put out a what you call it, a what's the name of it?
A missing
She put
person.
out a alert,
Oh, a
right?
silver alert. Uh-huh.
The highway patrol, is involved. She called police directly and spoke with him, and he wrote her name down and asked for a picture of her and Dexter Way and told her that he's about to leave. He's going to get with the detective and give him the information. So put it out. Weeks went by, days and weeks went by, and she called the highway patrol and said, "Hey, just checking up on my civil alert that I put in." And they didn't even know the names. She was like, "What's your son's name?" And she told them their son's name. And the lady that was down there said that she hadn't got any information about that. She don't even know what she's talking about.
Oh my,
The, the chief of police.
oh my goodness.
Yeah. Dexter Wade's mother called the chief of police about her missing son. Then paint a picture now. Dexter Wade's mother was calling down there since March the 6th, over and over and over and over and over. She didn't find out information August the 24th. They knew the way it was because he had his identification in his pocket. He had a pill bottle with his name on there.
So
The
when was he hit? March 6th?
March the 5th, based on the autopsy, he was hit March the 5th. Based on the incident, report was put out getting hit on the highway, which they didn't even disclose that it was a cop. But anyway,
Okay, and then
um,
March 6th was the silver alert. When did
March
they
6th, no, 6th was the missing persons alert that she called down there and said, "Hey, I'm missing my son."
and they never did anything with
They
it.
never did. And months and weeks went by. She called the chief of police because she wasn't getting no answers from the detective. She wasn't getting no answers from nobody. When she called the chief of police to ask him what's going on, and she was saying, she told him that she wanted to put out a civil alert, and he told her that he was about to leave,
So
and that
what
he'd get with the detective.
so what when was it that she actually how did she find her son?
A detective ended up calling her August 24th. He ended
August
up
the
calling
4th.
her around 11 o'clock and tell her, "Hey, I found your son." And a detective will call you back later to give you the details about where your son is and what happened. Around 5 p.m. is when she got a call from another detective telling her that her son was deceased and that he was buried in that grave behind Hinds County.
How many graves are you said there's 216 that have labels on?
215 grave sites marked a metal post number. That way had a number 672 on this marker. And that's how she knew that, based on the roster that they had with names, because they knew who he was. So they had Dexter Wade, and then they had 672. And then at the grave site, they had a metal post and a marker with 672 on it. Yeah. Now, take in mind, Dexter
And
Wade was
so of the
murdered.
two so of the 215 that are out there, they have no names, they're just numbers.
Just
Body
numbers.
part.
Numbers. You have a marker with 678. You have a marker with 671, 670, and 672, which was Dexter
Those are
Wade based
mark
on the
those have to go to some paperwork somewhere. Where's the paperwork? How does
they
one
had a
find out who they are?
they had a roster with the names written by them. So instead of the city contacting the next to kin, the family, to let them know, "Hey, I've got your family member down here," because really it's not the coroner's job to go and tell the family that
Whose
their
job
loved
is
one
that?
is deceased. It's
That's
the Jackson Police Department job.
so why aren't they doing it?
They not doing it. They because those bodies that what you're gonna find out once they uncover, this whole case, you're gonna find out that there was a lot of foul in those bodies. That's what you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out that Jackson Police Department has been murdering people's family and hiding them and burying them in a grave site behind a county jail.
Of the 215, what's the oldest date? Do you know?
No, I don't know that part about the date. They didn't have that on there. They got a picture of the roster, but even with the
No
picture
date.
of the roster that they gave out, it showed a name and then it showed the number beside it. That's it.
Somebody had to authorize the fact that they're allowed to bury people back there. Who gave that authorization?
The city.
Who
they
at
get
the,
they get approval from
that's got to be, it's got to be
I'll give you a clear picture. The mayor approves everything in the city of Jackson.
with the
So
mayor.
his the work for the mayor, he he knows about what's going on in the city of Jackson.
What
He
it,
knows
what
about
is, what, to what advantage is it to the mayor
it. Mm-hmm.
that this is happening?
What advantages? Because he has to have the police department to back him in situations. He's over the police department.
So who's the current mayor of Jackson?
He got his name is so um hard to pronounce. It's Lamambo or something like that. I can't really pronounce it. In fact, let's see if I can get texted to you so you can have
I
it.
know it's on the, I know it's on the airport.
Mm-hmm. Let's see how you pronounce this man's name. Because I don't want to mess this up. The world needs to know about him too.
How can families find out if their loved one is on that list?
You have to go down to the city morgue and request information about your loved one based on their name. And then once they find that out, they'll go and look at the docket that the county jail has to see if that name is on the roster.
What if it's in one of the ones that's just a number that has no name attached to it?
But see, they got names attached to it on the roster.
Every one of them?
They
So none
got
of this,
names attached to it on the roster. That's correct. Those 200, those 215, they were identified by their family members based on the number and name that correspond with it. I'm finna send it to you in this
that's insane.
yeah. You got it?
I think, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Chokwe Antar Lamumba.
Mamba, that's his name. That's the Jackson, the city of Jackson mayor. That's his name.
So,
Okay.
so why do you think it's just Jackson, or do you think it's,
It's the whole state of Mississippi that corrupt.
but that's in Hinds,
Because
correct?
yeah, but because when you look at all these other places surrounded by Jackson, you're gonna find out that Mississippi has the highest rate of missing persons of ethnic background
And
in the state of
we
Mississippi.
just saw that Rankin County had, what was it that recently happened at the Rankin County jail?
Which one? You talking about the murders? Or are you talking
Yeah, the
about
murders.
it's just I just don't understand how at the top the number one police department, the number one police in the country, and yet we still having issues with people being missing and mistreated, by the police department. I don't
Wow.
understand that. That's baffling to me. You know. Then you had Parchman, Unit 29. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's no, well, that's totally different incident, and that's a crime.
That's a
Eaton,
crime in itself.
yeah, the parchment should have been replaced 75
Years
years ago.
ago. Years
Seven,
ago. Yep. They said people had COVID in there and they was leaving them in jail cells, you know, to
They just
and
left
then
them
they
to
took the
die.
body out and just pulled the body in the middle of the house so all the other prisoners could, see the inmates could see the body. They was getting sick too. That's why they riot. They didn't riot because they wanted to uproar the prison. They rioted because they was being mistreated in there.
Well, they part of it was because they had toilets that were,
Overflowing with feces and
you know, and
every time I
and
talk about
given
this, it does
molded
something to me.
molded
It
bread
does
and
something to
molded
me.
bologna and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah,
garbage.
yeah. These are human beings,
Yeah,
whether regardless of race or this
crime
and
or
that. Right. This is human beings that's being mistreated on the earth, and nobody seems to know about it. And then when you talk to the people in the city of Jackson and you ask them about these things that's been happening, that we have become so numb to
well,
these
they don't even
things.
have water that you can drink.
Right. It's just a normal thing to talk about down there. And you say, oh no, it's like, no, I'm
What's it
working.
go,
They
what's it
don't
what's it going to take to change this? I mean,
it's gonna take
this one
what
takes
we're doing.
sunlight.
That's right. What you're doing with this platform is going to take that because the more we ram it down, the more they have to see it over. When 9/11 had hit, the whole world knew about it because they pushed it through the media for years. They're still pushing it through the media now. 9/11. We got to start pushing these things over and over. Just don't let it, 2 or 3 weeks or 4 or 5 months go by and then bam, it's not important anymore. Dexter Wade should be important just like 9/11. 15 bodies being found behind a county jail should be important, just like 9/11.
No kidding.
You know?
Does Mrs. Wade know that we're doing this?
Now, I've reached out to her, but she has a lawyer. So she's trying to do, she's with her case as well. So there's certain
Yeah,
things that
yeah.
she's not able to do.
Well,
But
I understand why she wouldn't be able to be here, and I don't know that she would want to because it is her child,
that's right. She's
and
still grieving
I just and she's lost a brother, so
with no justice done for her. That 5 years with no justice.
no,
You still got two other criminals walking around, so-called protect and serve in the community.
yeah,
They
who
with no
didn't lose their
recommend
job
they
or anything else.
right. They didn't get kicked off the force.
Wow, where do we go next, you and I?
We can continue whatever you need me to do. I'm still hitting the ground in Jackson. I'm still hitting the ground in Mississippi, going out talking to the people. I'm gonna make contact with Ben Crump as well
Uh-huh.
to whatever he needed me to do to, what I'm saying, push this issue. Dexter Wade is gonna be known in the that's what I need Dexter Wade to be in the earth and to happen to him. This man was buried in the same clothes that he got hit by a Jackson police officer that nobody's given the name about. His
Uh,
mother was looking for him over 5 months before she even found out about her son. Then when she found her son, just think about to identify your child that's been in a grave that's not been embalmed, and you have to identify your child, and then come to find out that it was foul play done by the very people that's supposed to protect and serve the community that you live in, that you go to, for things that happen to you, criminal things that happen to you.
and you're
You
supposed to
expecting them to
trust them.
take care of,
You're expected to trust them and respect them.
how can you trust the people that's supposed to, do right and they murder your son and your brother? They murdered this sister brother and they murdered her son and they covered it up. The case went on for a year for George Robertson. Only one person was convicted, and
Where's
he only got up to 5 years.
where's Dexter Wade buried now?
I
Is
tried to
George
find it.
Robertson
The
buried
news
now?
they didn't have it on the public record because he, I don't know why, but the only thing they say about the cemetery that he got buried in was that it had just been, I guess, renovated or remodeled. That was it. Because I was looking for it, But like I said, even with that, I think that's part of Betterstein Wade's case as well. So they don't want to, have thousands of people. The city of Jackson is covering all this up. You won't, if we not talking about this, this will be dead. The end of this. Nobody even know. It just be some other segment that they have on the news, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
Look, check this out.
I'm going to do some research and write an article
That's
about
perfect.
this for the Mount Zion Memorial Fund website. It may take
Okay.
a little while because I'll have to do some research historically because this is not,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, this is not a one and done. But I don't understand why it's happening again, and this is 2024,
Mm-hmm.
and yet this is
Yep.
still going on. This is not 1880 post Reconstruction. This is not 1920 Jim Crow, and this is not 1957 Civil Rights era. This is today.
Right. Hey, look, I got one more thing for you too. I covered a story back in 2021, 20, close to, leading on to 21. A lady named Coletta Johnson was hit by a man, a Caucasian man in Aberdeen, Mississippi. She
That's
was
my neck
ran
of the
over.
woods.
Right, she was ran over by a man who was under the influence. He jumped the curve where she was walking at and ran her over, and she died on the scene. The officers on the scene knew the man that hit her. They didn't give him a breathalyzer, didn't give anything to him. They didn't arrest him, didn't do anything. They let him. They let him leave the scene and go home. This man murdered this woman, ran her over under influence, and he left. He was allowed to leave by Aberdeen Police Department.
Mm.
She had sons and daughters. And they son, and they was like, whatever, they don't care. The case went on for about 2 or 3 years before anything supposedly happened because that man, he even the time he got wasn't enough. The
So he
police
eventually
department
what
should have been
he
part of the time, part of the commission.
so he eventually
The
got to.
Yeah, he eventually got jail time, but the officer, jail time to let him go. When you do wrong, you should be subject to punishment. If you got your hand in anything, you should be subject to punishment as well.
Wow.
Get the same punishment because you didn't do the job when it was necessary. Even the Bible say that.
No
The book of
kidding.
Leviticus chapter 5 tell you if a man see a man swearing or lying or see any incident, he don't say nothing about it, then he just as guilty as him. His blood is on his hands.
Yeah, exactly.
The Dexter Wade blood is on everybody that was involved that day that he got hit by that police officer. The chief of police has Dexter Wade's blood on his hand. The mayor, how you say his name? Lamombo?
Lamumbo,
Mayor Lamombo got Dexter Wade blood on his hands. When you get a chance, go look at the public
Lamumba.
announcement that he did to the city
Oh,
about
trust me, I'm going to. I'm going to go do some
it,
research. I'm going to write about this.
it's gonna be you gonna shed a tear for this.
I really want to know about this is uh, this is a site of a crime for these people to be there without identification if nobody's made any effort to identify them. But it's still a sacred place. It has become a sacred place because these people are dead and sacrificed, and there's nothing that makes it sacred. Just it's their blood and their death, but don't they? It's a continuation of the same story, different chapter, different verse.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're at
And
is that they're in the Hinds County, they're behind the Hinds County Sheriff's.
Hinds County Jail. That's right.
All right. So what, out in the backyard?
In the backyard, you drive back there. Is it right there behind the Hinds County Jail? The
See,
inmates bury the people.
uh, 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 they used to do that in Lowndes County. They stopped doing that in Lowndes County.
So they said,
In the 19, well, they had to. They don't have any room anymore. They needed to expand the jail and the city court.
where you think that when they expanded the jail, what you think they did with those grave sites?
Oh, they just put the concrete right on top of it,
The
honey. That's
concrete is
exactly what
laying
they.
right on top of it. That's
You know what
right.
else? Yeah, they also used to have the barrel that they laid people over to beat them. It was still there in the
Mm.
1980s. Now,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know that they were using it. It still had the buckles and stuff on it, but
Right.
I know officers who told me about seeing it and were shocked that it still existed.
Yeah.
But I know that they called them paupers graves because
Mm-hmm.
I they probably just here it's probably even worse. They just incinerate them.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
very
that's correct.
disturbing. It's very
Yeah.
disturbing
Yeah.
because these families have no closure.
Not zero. They don't know is behind nothing that happened to their family members at all. It's just,
If
you're just supposed to
Celestine
take.
Wade had not pushed and fought and kicked and screamed, she never would have had.
Nobody would know 215 bodies behind Hinds County. Ain't that something?
Somebody knew.
Nobody would know.
Somebody knew.
Yeah,
Why didn't somebody tell?
because foul play is done amongst the black community in America, and nobody cares at all. Nobody takes the time to even research or reach out. It's done under the rug, you know.
What? So 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 the mayor's a black man.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's correct.
Who's the sheriff of Hinds County? Is he a white man or a black man?
He's he's a white man. He's a Caucasian man. Yep.
Does this I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Where I live, the board of supervisors
Uh-huh.
and the sheriff are closely linked. And it's the court system that is closely linked with the sheriff.
Uh-huh.
County courts. I think that's circuit court. The city police fall under the city council and the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
The city police are hired by the mayor. The sheriff is elected, but the sheriff hires his people, and I think they're approved because I know the jail hirees are approved through the board of supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
So now my question is it the mayor's responsibility or is it the board of supervisors in Hinds County? Because you still have the Jackson Metro Police that would fall under the city council and the mayor.
Yeah, also, yeah, I'm sorry. You said the sheriff, he's a black man. He's a black man.
Okay.
The sheriff is a black man. Okay. But you got to remember that the system that's set up, right? The police department, the sheriff department, this system that's set up links back all the way to slave catchers, right? The system that's set up, they have guidelines, rules that they have to follow.
So
This
I'm gonna interject one more piece of this. So
mm-hmm,
we have the sheriff and we have the police, but when the
mm-hmm.
police arrest somebody, they don't go to there's not is there a city jail?
It's a city jail.
Or is
It's a
that
city
just a
jail.
whole, or is that more like a
That's
drunk
just a
tank?
whole facility.
Okay.
Everybody's transported to
The
whatever
county
county jail you
jail,
have.
they
That's
go to
right.
the
Where the
county
sheriff
jail
department is.
once they've gone before the judge and get bonded, given a bond or indicted or whatever. Is that correct?
Sometimes you immediately go down to the county jail.
Okay, so that's
It's
like
not
we don't have a city jail because we're not that big. We used to,
right.
but that was the drunk tank, and then but
Mm-hmm.
now everybody goes to the county. So
They're
that's what
going
I'm
down.
trying to.
That's right.
And I think that's what happens in Brandon is they go to the Rankin County. They don't have a Brandon jail. They go to the sheriff's to the county.
That's right.
So is that how Jackson is run too?
Jackson ran the same way.
Okay. That makes more sense to me. Because so then to me, it sounds like, are the police caught up in this too? The city police?
Yeah, they buddies. Everybody go to Malona. You know, the police academy out there. The police academy in Malona, Pearl, Mississippi,
Yeah.
was ranked #1 in the country. Meaning the officers are the best of the best in the country, United States, because of this academy. And everybody's joined there. Everybody go there. Olive Brinson, they come down there. Tupelo sent down
Yeah. Well,
there.
we send ours
Buddies,
to, yeah, Columbus and
Highway Patrol go
yeah,
there.
yeah.
They are family, they're buddies. They close friends.
Wow.
It's a system set, a blue system to set up.
Yeah, the what they call it, the long blue line.
The long blue line.
Wow. Well, this has opened my eyes to a lot, and I know I have a lot more to investigate and read about. If you have more information that comes up, would you come back on here?
Most definitely. Whatever was needed to push Dexter Wade through the earth so the earth can know about this brother and what his heroic mother did, because it takes a hero to do what she did.
This
She
this
could have just
woman,
gave
she's more than a hero. She's a
yeah,
queen.
she could have just gave up.
She
But
could have.
with all the dead rolls he hit, you talk to the chief of police and you still ain't got information about your son.
From
Come
March
on
to
now.
August, and she was still
That's a
calm.
long way. That's a long time.
Wow.
It's a long time. And still ain't got information about what happened to him. Investigation been done on it. The public know his name. They know Dexter Wade name. They should know his name. If he had nothing to hide, nothing, he did nothing wrong. Wasn't
Mhm.
nothing wrong with them saying, "Hey, it was an incident, officer such." You
Well, he's a public servant. He's not immune. I don't understand.
well,
I tell you
Mississippi
what,
State.
if we hit him, we wouldn't be immune. Our name
Oh
would,
no,
our
everybody
name
would know
would
your
be
name.
published.
That's right. Even if it was an accident, they would know our names.
Yeah, they would know our
I'm
name.
saying they would know.
I
Yeah,
wonder if this can be found through a public records request. Have you tried
yeah.
it?
You
Have you
go to
done a
lawyer.
Freedom of Information Act to try and find his name?
Not yet.
Maybe that's something we should work on together.
Yep.
Because
Do that because
I think that's important.
it's very important. You're right.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on my show. I'd like to invite you to come again. If you
Okay.
find out anything, don't hesitate to text me, email me, reach out. Let's I want to hear it. Even if it's only you only have 10 minutes to record. This is important, and I think this message needs to get out there.
Trust me, I'm gonna have a lot more information for you within 5 days from now.
Perfect. I'll give you
5 days, I'm
I'll
gonna have
give
way
you
more information for you on
I
that.
will I will give you the space on my platform. I promise you, because I think this is an important story to get out there. And I don't understand why no one's covering it. But
Yeah,
let's get it out there. I have people all over the world that listen. Let's make
okay.
sure people know Dexter Wade's name
That's right. And George Robertson.
and George Robertson.
That's right,
And
George Robertson.
and
Well,
we
they
know
connected in this. They
that there are
connected
215 metal posts out there.
behind the
Probably,
Hinds County Jail. That's
probably
right.
more today.
Yeah. And this is a penal farm is out there as well.
Oh,
I
really?
wait till they start digging this up. His
Wow.
body's buried in the farm.
So
But
are you talking about are you talking about the penal farm from the like the 50s, well, before 1974 when people had to go work off their debt or they got a 90-day sentence at
that's
the farm?
right. That's right.
Dang.
His body's buried in that farm.
You know there are.
They don't want you out there. Like I said, that's why I was standing there. I was pointing towards that, and then that uh sheriff pulled up and was like, "Hey, what you doing out here?" She know what I'm doing. She know
They,
exactly.
yeah,
She know what's going on back there.
true. True.
And they don't. And the sad part, care. They
No.
don't care.
Well, they care if you expose it.
That's it. That's the only way.
They only care if they get found out.
That's the only way.
Well, I want to thank you for coming and being on the Tom Bigby Tales. And I hope that my listeners will like, follow, subscribe, and more importantly, share this episode. Share it far and wide. Share it on their Facebook page. Share it on to their friends. Send it in emails. Send it in text messages. This has to be heard, and this needs to get out there. And I don't dedicate typically, but I dedicate this particular episode to the memory of Dexter Wade and George Robertson and to the
Thank-
other 214 people buried behind the Hinds County Jail that have a little metal
mhm.
post with a number on it.
And if you could, I do some. I put out more information too on ISUPK TikTok is a TikTok platform that I use as well to push
Perfect.
some of the articles and things. So if they could go in, I guess they don't have to
If
join
you'll
it, but they
send
can
me
check
if
it
you'll
out.
send me the link, I'll put it in my show notes.
Okay, I could do that. I
And
could
then
definitely do that.
and I I really want to get the word out. I want to thank you today for your time today. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Will do.